When you're sad and blue and everything is putting you down, you know the world keeps spinning around. You know you're not alone.
Yes, with MS, the world keeps spinning around, but you're not alone. Welcome to the 10 Minutes for MS podcast, in which we share information about MS.
Welcome everybody to 10 Minutes for MS podcast. And today we have a very special, a very renowned and a very respected guest on our show. Her name is Dr. Carolyn Dean. She is a medical doctor, a naturopathic doctor, and has been on her natural medicine revolution since 1979. She's also an author of over 35 books, including the bestseller for which she has also won an award. The name of the book is The Magnesium Miracle, and she has also launched her own company by the name of and products by the name of RnA ReSet. So welcome, Doctor, to 10 Minutes for MS podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. It's wonderful the work you're doing, interviewing all the people who have information that's important, information that we don't learn in schools, as citizens, doctors don't learn in medical school, and it's important information that can save people's lives.
Thank you so much. And it's just because of you have been so kind to come on the show and share that valuable information. That's why, you are the one who is trying to help us. So thank you to you and Mohala. Is it right?
Mahalo, yes. Aloha and mahalo. Yes.
Mahalo to you. Sorry, I'm still learning. So thank you so much, Doctor, once again. And so, Doctor, I want to ask you about magnesium. So when a person gets diagnosed, the first thing doctors recommend is vitamin D. Take lots of vitamin D and you have to take it regularly all your life. But magnesium is the least spoken about nutrient. So we want to know from you that how is magnesium so important, especially for people suffering with chronic or autoimmune diseases?
Right. It's interesting you mentioned vitamin D because yes, it's like that's the big new kid on the block for a lot of conditions. And as soon as people started coming to me saying, oh, I'm on this high dose vitamin D, but I'm getting my magnesium deficiency symptoms back. Mm-hmm. One woman had 6 weeks migraine and others palpitations, their blood pressure elevated again. And when I looked at the metabolism of vitamin D, come to find out that 8 of the about 13 steps in metabolizing vitamin D from either supplements, sunshine, or vitamin D in storage in the body. 8 of those 13 steps required magnesium. So what would happen, because as soon as allopathic doctors get a hold of this notion that vitamin D deficiency was related to chronic disease, they gave too much. They just, 50,000 units. And
yes.
Sometimes it was every day.
Yes.
And they didn't realize that when you take that much vitamin D, you're going to use up a lot of magnesium. Now, vitamin D it does not become toxic. We know it's very safe. But the toxicity factor could be that it drops your magnesium. And then you get heart palpitations, and that's the worst one to get because then doctors, they get very concerned and put you on blood thinners and several medications, whereas it may be just a magnesium deficiency. So that's how magnesium plays a role in vitamin D and in chronic disease. So I'll stop there and let you continue.
All right, thank you. So, yes, so magnesium does play a big role when it comes to chronic conditions. So, like if someone has cramps or spasm or migraine or even tingling, numbness, then magnesium has a role to play, which is something which everybody, especially suffering with MS, should know because those are the main symptoms of MS. And we only look at vitamin D.
Right. Yes. Now, maybe this would be a good place to say what magnesium does in the nerves and muscles. Magnesium gets into the cells to relax them. Calcium gets into cells to tighten them up and cause the muscles either to move or the nerves to fire off what they call an action potential. If you don't have enough magnesium to cause the relaxation, calcium stays in the cell and fires and fires and fires until you get twitching and muscle spasms and cramps.
Right.
And magnesium, it is supposed to open up the cell mineral ion channel to get that calcium out of the cell and get the relaxation phase. So for MS symptoms, magnesium is absolutely necessary just for the function of the muscles and nerves. We're not talking even about the myelin sheath and what's happening there. I mean, what I consider might be happening there is that toxins are cross-reacting with the myelin sheath and damaging it. And the main toxin that I find that's related to most autoimmune diseases is yeast overgrowth. And yeast is natural in the intestines, but when you're taking antibiotics and cortisones, which is a treatment for MS, then you can grow excessive yeast. And in its life cycle, the yeast toxins will get into the bloodstream and they can cause symptoms from head to foot. There's 178 different yeast toxins. So we're talking about brain fog, coated tongue, ears itching, eyes itching and twitching, reflux, constipation or diarrhea. The whole leaky gut is related to yeast overgrowth. So there are head to toe symptoms of yeast toxins, and no one's really talking about them because years ago, doctors said, oh, yeast overgrowth, that's a fad, and they ignored it. And nobody talks about it. Even when they talk about SIBO, the small intestinal bowel overgrowth of bacteria, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, they don't even talk about yeast. And sometimes SIBO is treated with antibiotics, which will make more yeast. So, my protocols for autoimmune disease are treating yeast overgrowth with the right natural antifungals and probiotics and pico silver, and making sure the body has enough magnesium and other minerals that are in a stabilized ionic form that can be absorbed. So there.
Okay, thank you, doctor. So, doctor, how much quantity of magnesium can you suggest that a person should take on daily basis?
Well, this is where I ran into problems myself, because when I realized I had really severe magnesium deficiency and I tried to take a drugstore or health store magnesium, I immediately on 50 milligrams, 50 milligrams, got the laxative effect. My body couldn't tolerate because the absorption of most magnesiums is very low. So you're only absorbing like 4 to 12 or 20%. The rest of it flushes out through the intestines. Okay. So that led me to develop my own magnesium, which is non-laxative. And I was taking 1,200 milligrams, as opposed to 50, which would give me the laxative effect. I took 1,200 milligrams for a year and a half to saturate my body and did not have the laxative effect.
Oh my God, that's surprising. That's very surprising. So, doctor, my other question is about sugar. So it's said that sugar contributes in the depletion of magnesium. So how does that happen?
Well, what I dug up in the obscure research is that for sucrose sugar, the body requires, I think it's 28 molecules of magnesium in order to metabolize that sugar. But fructose sugars require 56 molecules of magnesium. So right there, we come up against the dilemma of fructose metabolism and the high fructose corn syrup that a lot of people were exposed to over the past 20 years has caused magnesium deficiencies. And sugar itself, it pushes vitamin C out of the cells. Vitamin C and sugar compete for the same carrier protein molecule to take it into the cells. If you've got a lot of sugar, then that gets into the cells instead of the vitamin C. I learned this so many years ago back when I practiced in Toronto and we had foster kids and we'd have the big Christmas party. We'd have the sugar table, but right on the same table was vitamin C. And people knew that they had to take the antidote, take a lot of vitamin C to help metabolize that sugar, partly metabolize it and partly make sure the vitamin C was getting into the cells. And yeah, as the magnesium we've talked about, but the vitamin C in sugar is very important because when you're talking about viral overload, vitamin C is very important. And if you're eating a lot of sugar, then you're not going to be able to use vitamin C to get rid of your virus.
Okay. So what do you think otherwise? So for example, if a person is suffering with diabetes, is magnesium good for people with diabetes and MS together?
Yes, of course. What's interesting is in the medical textbooks, they will say that one of the signs of diabetes is low magnesium.
Wow.
They will actually say that. Okay. But doctors don't, doctors are blind to nutrients, so nobody talks about it. So, yeah, we've had customers who'll say, when I started getting saturated with magnesium, my blood sugar came down. And also, your blood cholesterol will come down to normal because magnesium is a natural statin. And your blood pressure will come down.
Wow.
And what do we see with people who they go to their doctor and they're told, oh, your blood pressure is a little elevated, take this diuretic. Mm-hmm. And then the diuretic will push out magnesium. Yeah. So they come back and their blood pressure is worse. Oh, we caught your blood pressure just in time. Here, take 2 more drugs for your blood pressure. And 3 months later, you come to do blood tests to make sure the drugs aren't harming your liver. And they say, oh my gosh, all of a sudden you have high cholesterol. And oh my gosh, all of a sudden you have diabetes. So these layers of drugs are depleting the body of so much magnesium that you develop all these other symptoms. And then you go home with 6 different medications.
Exactly. That's what happens. So BP, blood pressure, diabetes, all these are very, very common problems now. And everybody has it. Every other person has it now. But nobody talks about magnesium. You're right. No doctor says, okay, you have this problem, go and take magnesium. Maybe it will help you. Cholesterol. Nobody talks about magnesium, which is it's just an eye opener, actually. So, doctor, we also want to know that MS also disturbs our cognitive functions. So is magnesium helpful for our cognitive functions as well?
Yes, the way it will affect the brain is by detoxifying heavy metals and chemicals. It helps those pathways. It will also magnesium in the brain. Let me go at this way as well. If you have yeast overgrowth, you're going to be producing toxins that get in the brain and cause brain fog. So, brain cognitive functions, they might be related to yeast overgrowth toxins and magnesium deficiency, and also other minerals. They talk about aluminum building up in the brain and not being detoxified. Well, magnesium can help that. They talk about a lack of selenium in the brain. I have a multiple mineral where we have 12 different minerals that help support many functions, including detoxification. So yeah, the brain functions, and it's so frustrating because, when someone feels a bit woozy headed, it just lays them flat. When you think, oh, is a headache, is a migraine coming on? My head just feels like a cotton ball, a big cotton ball. And those are symptoms related to yeast overgrowth. So I have a complimentary, a free ebook on one of my websites on yeast, Reset the Yeast Connection, where I talk about all these symptoms, because as I said earlier, it's very much ignored, the overgrowth of yeast in a person's body.
Yes, absolutely. Just ignored. We have not even heard about yeast overgrowth in person's body. It's also like magnesium, the least spoken about thing. It's really nice to know such unique things and such important things from you today. Doctor, my last question to you for today would be about stress burns magnesium. I read one of the posts which says stress burns magnesium. So can you please help us explain what this is exactly?
Right. Yes, that's it goes to the adrenal glands, where a person deals with stress by producing extra adrenaline. You think of a car comes at you and you have to quickly get out of the way. You need the adrenaline to push yourself out of the way, but then your heart starts palpitating and it takes you a while to calm down. Now, some people, low blood sugar will cause their adrenaline to come out. The blood sugar goes low and the adrenaline comes out to push the sugar from the liver storage. Glycogen will bring the sugar back up, but at the same time, a person, they don't realize their blood sugar is going up and down. They just feel their adrenaline. They feel hyper. And if a person, even if a person says driving across a long bridge, they can have a panic attack and think that they're afraid of heights or afraid of the bridge. So a lot of adrenaline symptoms are misdiagnosed as anxiety and panic attacks. And over time, the adrenals are drained of magnesium. Magnesium is one of the factors in producing adrenaline, etc. And then long-term stress will produce cortisol, and that's what goes to belly fat, and that also drains the magnesium. So we've had people, when they start getting saturated with magnesium, they calm. It supports their adrenals, it supports the nervous system. People are sleeping better. The big treatment for insomnia is magnesium. If you're taking magnesium and you're still having sleep problems, you're not taking enough magnesium, or you're not taking the right kind. So it's very important to look at your magnesium for anxiety and panic attacks and the adrenals, because otherwise you're going to go to your doctor and end up on sleeping pills, anti-anxiety medication, Prozac, all these drugs and with the sleeping medications, anti-anxiety, they say, oh, this is for short-term use only. And how many people do we know that are on them for years?
Exactly. Yes.
Terrible. And short-term use, you know what that means in a research study? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah.
God. Oh my God, that's terrible. So thank you so much, Doctor, for such an amazing session today. And we've heard such miraculous things about magnesium that we never even knew. And it was such an informative session. Doctor, before leaving, would you like to also tell us a little about your products, your website?
Oh, thank you. Yes, the formula website to purchase is RnA ReSet.com, and the educational website is drcarolyndeanlive.com. You can get free ebooks, access to my radio show, blogs, etc. And on the formula website, RnAReSet.com, Remag is our magnesium, Remite is our multiple mineral. The B vitamins are very important for stress and the adrenals, and we have that in Realign. It's also a detoxifying product. We say it gently takes out the trash. and there's our vitamin C, our whole C, but you can find that, just look on the website. But I think one of the important things we do is we have a very large customer service staff. They're all on the products. They know what they're talking about because they feel it in their own bodies. And they can be reached anytime at support@RnAReSet.com. And I do thank you. You've said many times how magnesium, nobody's talking about. You're talking about it. You are influencing tens of thousands of people right now. So I totally appreciate what you're doing. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Doctor. Thank you so much. It was so glad, so lovely speaking to you. And everybody listening to this, please go and visit the website the doctor just said. And yes, please order the Remag products. And they are very healthy, very organic, and it will be sent directly to you wherever you are globally. So thank you so much. Mahalo, Doctor. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you. Aloha.
Thank you, warriors, for being with us. I hope you found this session useful. We will be back again next week with another informative session. So don't forget to subscribe and reserve just 10 minutes for MS.
No, you're not alone.